Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Artists and Residences. I am your host today for today's episode, Jonathan Parent. Each week in Artists and Residences, we'll speak with a variety of artists and performers to discuss art, inspiration, and current events. This week's artists are April Hammock. She's our Baton Rouge Gallery artist for this episode. We have Brad Jensen, who is a local entrepreneur and artist and flat curve gallery artist. We have Peter Simone. He is a musician with Minos the Saint, and he'll be doing a little performance with us. So stick around. We're having an exciting show today. I do also have some exciting announcements to make. As of this week, we have announced that the reopening for Baton Rouge Gallery will occur on June 3rd. There will be regular hours in place, so our usual schedule will be going on, but we won't have a lot of the same events and things like that you might be aware of. If you go to batonrougegallery.org/reopening, you can find that link in our comments section. You can find the details on what safety measures we have in place concerning the lockdown, and check it out. We're really excited to get back in. Me especially. And let's see. So we've got a couple shout outs to do before we get on with the episode. We've got to shout out to Breck, our partners in this little adventure at the gallery. Since 1984, they've been with us, and we are really looking forward to get back into the facility, have some art on the walls, and get back to business. Take a look. Let's see. I want to make sure to pull this one up. BatonRougeGallery.org/flat curve gallery. Go there, submit your art. As long as it is something that was completed or started before March 13th, when the lockdown officially went in place, then you are welcome to submit your art to Flat Curve Gallery, regardless of age, regardless of media. Go forth, submit your art. Please, it's been an amazing success so far, and we like to keep that momentum going forward. We have memberships available at batonrougegallery.org/join for as little as $5 a month. You can go and support the art, support the local artists in the gallery, and make things like Artists and Residences a thing that will be able to exist because of you, because of your donations, and because of your memberships. Let's see. That, I think, does it for announcements. Our first guest for today. Oh, yeah, this is a little comment here. I'll go ahead and put this up because this is important. As far as like reopening is concerned, if you don't have a mask, we are requiring them, but we do have disposable PPE on site available for anyone looking to enter the gallery. Masks and gloves and hand sanitizer, and please come in. We will set you up so you can enjoy the show. Thank you. Okay, here we go. First artist for today. I am excited to announce that we have April Hammock. She is one of our artist members in the gallery. Words are great. Let's go ahead and bring her on. April.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Thanks for being a part today. How have you been?
Been fine. It's been good lately. Yeah, working away at my art projects and stuff.
Well, let's start there. We talked a little bit earlier, and you had brought up a recent piece that you've been working on.
Yeah.
And I just so happen to have that prepared ahead of time, believe it or not. This is, I'm going to go ahead and put this up the screen. On the screen right now is aprilhammockart.com. You can find her work there. She's also has a few pieces listed in our membership page on the Baton Rouge Gallery website. April, we have a piece that you had posted on Instagram just not too long ago. And why don't you tell us a little bit about this and about yourself and about your art?
Sure. Well, recently I had a show at Baton Rouge Gallery last December, Pandemonium's Paradise. And I like to hike. I like to be out in nature a lot. And lately, I haven't been able to do that, apparently. So I find my mind is beginning to take like personal trips, like psychological, like looking inward back into my past and such. And which is a challenge for me to start looking inward instead of reacting to the environment or environments that I've been in, that I walk through. So I'm delving into my past, my childhood, that we would go to, my brother and I, my family would go to Georgia every year to visit my relatives, and to Atlanta as well as Macon. And we would go meet up with my cousins and stuff, and we would go to Six Flags, and we would go to the pool and go watch movies together. It was a wonderful time for family and fun. And so lots of fond memories from that era of time, the mid-'80s, when we would do that very often. And so this painting is about those memories and those thoughts, just using the shapes and spaces, but also using color in a symbolic way, as a way to express those memories, to hint at those memories. Some neon colors spliced up with the more neutral tones and stuff. The memories I've had in the past of the mid-'80s and the feel of it, going to the pool and having a wonderful time with my cousins, and just that feeling, and trying to recreate that sensation with this particular piece.
I feel it. The warm yellows and oranges, that kind of like aqua, or that like you said, kind of neon blue. That really, that's a definitely a very pool specific kind of color, and I like that you've taken that and integrated it. Was there like a specific color that inspired you to make this piece? Did you start in a particular area, or was it kind of just like, let's just let the pieces fall where they may? And
Lately I've been trying to use more limited palettes, so I would lay out the colors that I'm going to use ahead of time, and then try to mix those colors together, really considering how transparent I want to make those colors, and how prominent I want to make certain shapes of certain colors, to have them pop out and others recede into space. Also to hint at feelings of environments, like landscapes in particular, that I'm trying to interweave with those geometric shapes and patterns that I've been doing lately.
Yeah, and then there's a bit of an element of this that's like the motion of the poolside. There, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of movement in here, and a lot of push and pull between the dark and lighter colors. That's I think really like pertinent to the message you're trying to send, as far as like being outside and enjoying the weather and having a fun day. So what is it about, well, first of all, this is off of April's Instagram, and you can find her at April Hammock Art on Instagram. You can see various pieces of work there. So in this time of lockdown, I feel like, and maybe a lot of us can say this, but you mentioned you kind of found yourself working on your pieces a lot more. This is one of your more like recent pieces. How many, how far are you down the pipeline? Like what's your how many more pieces do you have that you're working on at once? Do you tend to like stick towards one piece, or do you kind of branch out and do several at a time?
I do a lot of pieces. I can't even count how many I'm doing right now. They're just kind of scattered all over my studio space. I have small pieces as well as larger scale pieces. It just depends on what I'm in the mood to do.
Right.
I like to hop around a little bit because I want to keep that spontaneity in my artwork. If I find myself I'm just doing one painting at a time, that I just get too hung up on that piece. It's like writing a book. Well, I wrote a book years ago, but I don't know, it's not done. And it's kind of like writing a paper and then just kind of letting it go for a little bit and coming back to it. I find that you got to keep that freshness. And that's what I do with my own artwork, that I want to just kind of keep that freshness. And if I'm working on one piece, I get stuck, and I find myself just kind of dwelling on that one painting. I don't want to do that. So I have one piece in my studio I'm working on right now, and I'm just trying not to work too fast. But I want to work fast enough to kind of capture that feeling, that moment in time that I'm trying to convey into my pieces. So, I see where it goes, but I just try to paint as much as I wish to, and I don't try to put any kind of set rules on myself because I want to have that freedom to create. Yeah.
You mentioned music
Mhm.
in this post, and it seems like, and I think you may have touched on this before when we talked, but you try to keep in, if you're thinking of a time frame or a time period, you try to keep the music in that era while you're working on these pieces. Can you talk a little bit about the music inspiration behind these pieces?
well, well, I've always loved music, and I play music a lot when I'm working, and I form plenty of memories due to music and the tunes I've listened to throughout my life. And yes, these are definitely the songs that came to mind with this piece too. And we were kids, so we didn't really know what these songs always referred to, but we thought they were fun to listen to. And we would just blast the radio and have a wonderful time. But I think that somehow my subconscious music is a huge player, and how my images turn out, because I don't know, I'm one of these people, I always have something playing in my head. It just never shuts off, and I don't know what the word is for that. I know there's some kind of thing that people have until I go to sleep. But that's okay. I don't mind the tunes playing in my head all the time. And
as long as, we're going to get the Allstate jingle or something like that. I think it would be better to have a good piece of music than some piece of advertising kind of rolling around. Yeah, I get that. I appreciate it. So before we let you go, I'm going to ask everybody this today. So everybody pay attention. When lockdown opens up, we're back on our feet again, and the world's returned to, something similar to where we had been. What's the thing like you miss the most? What do you want to do when we finally get kind of let out?
Oh, I was going to go to a mountain this summer, and I'm going to put that off, of course. And I love to travel. I love to see nature. I love to go out to eat. And I think that's going to be amongst the first things that I want to do when we're finally out of this. Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to hear that answer a good bit: travel and food. Because I mean, we have some options now, but when you finally kind of get to go out and do that thing, have a couple people sit around a table together, that's really, it's a huge part of Louisiana, and
it is. Absolutely.
It's exciting when we can get out and safely get back into that. So I'd like to thank you for being on the program today. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with us and talk a bit about your art.
You're welcome. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we hope to see you again soon back at the gallery. I appreciate you, and have a great day today, April. Thanks.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right, so let me just kind of get my bearings here for a moment, and we'll introduce our next guest. Let's see. So just anybody that is interested, please do go to batonrougegallery.org/reopening. We do currently have a long list of all the precautions that we're taking, and we're only letting a certain amount of people in at a time. We'll have PPE, wear a mask, that kind of thing, and we're gonna have a real good time finally when this thing opens up. We won't have events as much like we had before at the onset, but we will be showing art. We will, be there to speak with you about the art, and we hope to see you guys there soon. Up next, we've got Brad Jensen. He's here with us today. Brad, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good today. It's been a little bit of an uphill getting everything set up, and I know we kind of had to touch on our audio here just a little bit before we got started, but yeah, all things aside.
You're looking good, man. I like the glittery gold background. Feeling very.
Yeah, I usually have my purple, but I figured I would do something a little different today. Change it up, keep it fresh,
Looks good.
So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your art, and I'm going to put you on the screen.
Sure.
Here briefly.
Yeah, well, obviously, my name is Brad Jensen. I'm a graphic designer, artist, and entrepreneur here in Baton Rouge. I have a retail store called Tim's Garage. I had an art gallery called Bricks and Bombs, which has now sort of become the home base for Tim's Garage. This is actually the first time I've had to mention that publicly to anyone yet, but yeah. So I mean, that's who I am. I'm a graphic designer, screen printer extraordinaire.
Okay, so let's kind of start there. You have an education at LSU.
I do, yeah, graphic design.
And you got out of school and kind of started to roll with your art career, and you ended up, here at this point in time, you accumulated somewhat into having a retail.
Yeah, it's been a very organic path to get to here. I mean, believe it or not, nearly, over 2003 is when I graduated, so can't believe this much time has passed. But after I finished school, I worked in a design agency here in town for a few years. And then when I left that with really no plan, I began the sort of self-employed life at a ripe age of about 25 or 26 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
And I did that for a few years, working from home, and an opportunity I saw with an empty space in Mid-City, which is where Bricks and Bombs became located at. Actually is where I'm at now. I've been here for 10 years, really. I just decided, hey, I didn't want to work from home all the time. I didn't see too many opportunities falling in my lap, and I wanted a place to show some of my art, as well as do some shows with other friends and people who didn't have a place to show art. So I opened up Bricks and Bombs in 2009, and sort of organically, my art gallery event space evolved into a clothing brand. I've been making T-shirts since 1999. I actually started making shirts when I was in college, and under the name Icon. It started out kind of as a BMX T-shirt brand. Right. Through college, I got interested in screen printing myself. That evolved into an interest in street art, and I adopted the moniker Icon because I was already making all these shirts and stickers with Icon on it anyways. And so then I had Icon, Bricks and Bombs, and eventually my gallery turned into a retail store. And 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I moved its location a little further down Government Street and called it Tim's Garage. And I put a bunch of other products that I also make in there, as well as some other local artists. And here we are today. I'm making T-shirts and hats and posters and, all that kind of stuff, all with my graphic design degree from LSU.
So, like, in that conversation, opening this retail store, running it yourself, I've had a number of years in retail myself. I can understand and empathize with the amount of work that goes into it. I understand.
Yeah.
But now lately also, there's this additional layer on top where, how are you handling having your store be, shut down or limited in such a way as have you worked a little more online or?
Yeah. Well, much like the gallery, you can't have a business of people coming in. So you've had to adapt and become a little bit more creative in your ways that you disseminate your product or, your art to people. And obviously online, everyone's doing that right now. And so I've sort of picked up that ball. I mean, it was always an integral part of my business to begin with, but the pandemic has really forced my hand and some of my customers' hands too, because now instead of being able to come into a physical space and see things, try it on, talk with me, we're forced to do business and interact online, which to be honest with you, hasn't been all bad. It's been a really nice thing to grow my online presence, and I'm looking for ways in the future that I can continue to expand my footprint digitally, as well as once I get back into normal routine of having the brick and mortar open.
Yeah, for sure. And on that note, you've seen me today flipping through a couple different links. Those are iconvisuals.com, and I think that's timsgaragebr.com.
Yep.
You can find those links if you're watching this in the comments section, kind of like all the way up at the top. Of course, if there is anyone that has any questions or comments, feel free to ask them in the comments section. I can take those live. I do see one, let's see, from Robert Sherman. Is there a story about how icon images that showed up all over the place a few years ago?
Yeah, well, like I said, it really just started out as a t-shirt brand, and like a BMX t-shirt brand. It was very random. I chose the name Icon sort of serendipitously. And when I was in school, like I said, this was in, very early 2000s. The sort of global street art movement was sort of taking place. I was learning about screen printing. I was learning about graphic design. And then a teacher of mine had given me a book that featured some other, street artists. And when I saw that, I was like, that is kind of what connected me to this sort of graphic art, but also a way of creating a fine art out of it. I always drew and painted as a kid, but nothing like of anything serious. But when I saw street art and that sort of you know what I'm saying, synthesized through screen printing, a lot of the pieces sort of came together. So like I said, at the time, a lot of people were doing these sort of character-based stencils and sort of street monikers. And I had kind of started out doing, pop art figures like MacGyver and Magnum PI. And I just sort of adopted the Icon name because, like I said, that was just the name of my t-shirt brand. There wasn't really anything about it, but just sort of as luck would have it, it kind of fell in line with, sort of this sort of iconographic style, right, and bold imagery that I was interested in creating. So anyways, I had a photo of my dad, and a lot of the, MacGyver, Magnum PI and things like that were not very proprietary to me. It was, only a matter of time before you found another artist who was more or less using the same imagery or something similar. So I wanted to create something proprietary to me that no one else could have. And I was practicing drawing people, and I had a photo of my dad, and he sort of on accident became the Icon Man. And
so you're talking about the gentleman. I'll bring this up here in a moment. People might have seen this. It's the gentleman in the background there. Yeah, I've got one too. Let's go ahead and show him real quick, because I had that in mind to ask.
Yeah, when I was first starting out, I had a lot of people asking me who he was, and I was really kind of dodgy about it. I didn't like telling people. I like to kind of like leave them hanging and say, "Man, if you don't know, I can't tell you." And that was kind of the point of it all, was making something that was, not that my dad's not relevant or important, but he's only relevant and important to me. And it really kind of helped me identify this idea that I became very interested in, is that this sort of power of graphic imagery, the power to communicate through words and pictures, and even more importantly, especially when you put those images out into the public with little to no explanation. So I quickly saw the way that my images resonated or affected people, and that has been a very big driving force in my art practice.
Thank you for sharing that. Who is this mustachioed gentleman appearing around town? Where, creating that mystique, that little bit of talk that kind of works behind the art. That's a really good point to make when trying to put your word out there, trying to get your work seen.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in the beginning, when I started creating imagery, I used to have, and I still, kind of struggle with this today sometimes too, is wanting to create imagery, to create artwork. And I think when you're younger, you may be a little bit at loss for words when it comes to your voice and like what you want to say. You know, I was always under the impression that art didn't really need to say anything. It was totally justifiable for just looking cool. And I still find that to be, you know, a completely okay. You know, I'm totally fine with that. But as I've gotten older, I have found more of an interest in using my artwork to communicate ideas, you know.
Kind of experiment, push a little further and develop. Yeah. It always helps to kind of move from one statement to another, even in your private life, just to kind of see where it leads and then use that to, you know, fuel your movement forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're kind of butting up against time here. Let me ask you real quick before we go, Brad, what do you want to do when we finally get outside? What's something you've been waiting for?
I'd like to go to some garage sales. I miss doing a little rummaging around, a little picking. That's probably one of the things that I miss the most about normal weekend life for me.
I will have to send you the information for when I finally get mine started, because I have been waiting to have a garage sale, and right when we're like, ooh, springtime, yeah, we can have a garage sale. No.
I mean, see what you got.
So, yeah, I'm anxious to get my studio cleaned out. Brad, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate you being on the program.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. Thanks for being a part of
for sharing.
All right.
All right. Brad Jensen, thanks for being here. Up next, we've got Peter Simone. You may know him from his work with the band Minos the Saint. Peter, good to see you today. How are you?
Good to see you. Hello, I'm good.
Yeah, great. I'm going to kind of jump right to the point. You are you the lead vocalist with Minos? Is that right?
Yeah, I am the lead vocalist and guitar player with the band. Yep.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe like a little bit about how maybe like you got started with music, or maybe the origins of the name of the band. Just kind of give us a little bit about yourself, about the band, and then
Sure.
Once I've got a few things set up, I believe you have a performance.
I do. Yeah. So I've been playing music since I was a little lad. So just always have had, some involvement in music in different ways. Played a lot in church as a kid, and yeah, that's me. And just it's always been a very, very pretty steady obsession. And so about, I guess, 6 years ago now, formed a group with Ben Harrington and Joel Wilson on violin, and then Micah Bluen on percussion. And yeah, we just really didn't know what to name it for a minute. We just enjoyed the sounds we were making, and finally settled on a pretty arbitrary name that's a family name. Minos is a family name. My granddad and my dad has the name, and it's just kind of always been kind of a fun name to make fun of, I guess. We'd had a good time with it. And so Minos the Saint is really just was catchy enough and something we all could agree on to put a name on it, on this project that we've been doing. So we created an album that's on Spotify. You can hear that. We have a lot of videos on YouTube. We're working on an album now. So just it's a really great project. I'm really proud to be a part of it.
Great. Thank you for that little bit of backstory there. Minos the Saint, YouTube, on Instagram. You have your own webpage, minosthesaint.com. This is the listen and watch page. You could see some stuff there. Of course, plenty of stuff for the band's page. So let me see. I'm going to go ahead and ask before we move on to the music. What is, besides, I'm sure, like getting back out and performing, what's the thing that you kind of like are excited to see?
Oh, man. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think for me, I just really like walking into a room full of strangers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just energized by crowds. And so I really miss, walking into a room and not being filled with anxiety because someone's not wearing a mask. I really look forward to not even worrying about that one of these days.
Yeah. And we'll get there. We will.
Yes.
I kind of feel that too. I, as the event coordinator for the gallery, the first couple events were like, well, let me make sure I'm doing everything right. But once you kind of get into the motion, once you kind of understand the crowd, it opens up and people are just warm and willing to talk to you, and it's a really good time. So I understand how that might be even for like a performing musician. I'm just there kind of standing in the corner, whatever, making sure everybody's okay. But being a musician, front stage, big audience, that's a real big thing. So I understand how that might like have impacted your life recently, right?
Absolutely.
You can find all of the links that I've shown today in our comments section for Minos the Saint, for April Hammock, for Brad Jensen. If I'm sure Peter will appreciate it if you go check out his YouTube channel, go check out Instagram, help support local art and performers. Peter, I'm going to go ahead and let you have it here. I got to switch a few things around real quick, but
okay.
The stage is yours.
All right, awesome. This first song I'm going to play, this is called A Chafalaya Child. Count your little fingers, count your little toes. We were stitched together by the cypress tree that grows just across the river, unseen until the silver moon glows. Once upon a summer storm, she held you in the dark, summoned every branch to bend and stencil in your heart. Called the lightning from the sky, and so began your story with a spark. And there's a choir under the waves that bellows every morning and echoes through the wild. And as you grow and make your way, may the music always find you a Chafalaya child, a Chafalaya child. Bellows every morning and echoes through the wild. As you grow and make your way, may the music always find you a Chafalaya child, a Chafalaya child, a Chafalaya child, a Chafalaya child. Count your little fingers, count your little toes. We were stitched together by the cypress tree that grows just across the river, unseen until the silver moon glows. All right, and that song was called Chafalaya Child, and I think I have time for one more. Is that right?
Yeah, it looks like we're pretty good if you
Okay.
want to go.
Okay, cool.
All right, here, let me get you set up.
This last song I'm going to play is called A Good Citizen. Down before you forget. With the paintbrush, try and trace your silhouette. It's getting harder to wanna be a good citizen. Or medicate yourself into security. It's getting harder to wanna be a good citizen. It's getting harder to wanna be a good citizen. Marching band, they've tuned the symphony, playing the 1 and 5 to our consciences as we inhale in time with a collective sigh and sing. It's getting harder to wanna be a good citizen. It's getting harder to wanna be a good citizen. Oh.
Peter, thank you so much. That was amazing. Pertinent message. The timeliness, I think, was a great, call with that last song. And thank you for being on the program. Do you have anywhere you want to point people in particular? I know we've got your Instagram and YouTube for Minos the Saint.
Definitely follow us on Facebook. That's the best way to keep up with what we're doing. We have a lot of new videos and a lot of new songs that we're releasing soon. So would hope that everyone can see those and spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll make sure to get your Facebook link and put it in the comment section below so our viewers can find it. Awesome. And Peter, I appreciate you being on the program today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
No problem. Anytime. So, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, I have the sad news to say that this is the end of the program for the day. Thank you for all joining us today, for viewing and visiting with us today. Again, you'll find all the links in the comments section below. And let's see, I'm going to put this one up real quick. No, I won't. Yep, here we go. So, BatonRougeGallery.org/reopening. All of our guidelines for how we're going to run for the next foreseeable future are all right there. Please take a look. It's nothing crazy. We're just ready to go. You can also go to BatonRougeGallery.org/join, and that will be where you can find our membership options. We do start out at $5 a month, and that helps us greatly. Helps us bring content like this to you, our wonderful viewers, our members, and fellow artists in our community. So thank you very much. We appreciate all of you, and stay safe. Have a great rest of your weekend.